Welcome back to the State of Legends podcast. I'm Michael.
I'm Dylan.
And we're back for another week in West Virginia.
John Denver would be happy.
Yeah, I visited this place many times. Well, not as much as you in Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout 76. That's the only way I've gone to West Virginia.
I've actually been there a few times. I actually got on a scenic route one time. Me and a buddy was on a road trip, and we went up and down a mountain. This was back before everybody had iPhones, and we used we actually used a Rand McNally Atlas is how we got there. And had Google Map print-offs.
Man, I remember printing stuff off of MapQuest.
Yeah, MapQuest, yeah. But we thought we were going on it's at a highway, which it ended up being a scenic highway. So we went switchbacks all the way up and down this hill, all the way back. It took us probably an extra hour or two on our trip.
That's funny because back then probably everybody wasn't all privy on the Appalachia lore.
No.
You hear Appalachia now, you're like, oh.
No, we actually didn't even look for anything. I guess we could have been looking for a lot of this stuff. We got a pretty interesting podcast. We've changed it up just a little bit this time. We're going with a little bit different setup. We're going to talk about a few places and talk about a few cryptids.
And we're not going to make Virginia look bad. Like, we're not going to do none of the Wrong Turn movies. We're not going to talk about the Whitakers. This is just strictly fun lore. Oh. Nothing more.
Isn't it the Wild Whites of West Virginia?
Yeah.
We left them out.
No, this is a fun show.
Well, let's start off, I guess, with the place. We'll start with the West Virginia State Penitentiary, which, I mean, it's a jail. Surprise.
To all you Fallout 76 fans, it's the Eastern Regional Penitentiary.
There you go. A little game lore for you. It looks like it was located in the Moundsville, West Virginia. I almost said just Virginia, but I don't know. They might take offense to that.
No, there's like a whole gang war with that.
This is like a Hatfield McCoys?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the wrong state. We'll get back to them. But it was just a prison basically built in 1876. It was actually a pretty building. It was a Gothic style building. Neat architecture.
It looked kind of like Arkham Asylum, but had Arkham not been, run down.
But did it have as many crazy people in it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, it looks like it only housed 250 inmates initially.
It featured high stone walls, turrets, a central clock tower. I mean, everything you think of like a Gothic style building, but just a big prison version of it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say that regular Gothic style buildings had turrets.
No.
So.
Well, the little castle turrets that they can peek out of,
See, when I hear turrets, I'm like,
I don't think everyone on Kill Street threw out let's deploy this turret.
I play too many video games. It's bad.
Somebody said it was designed to reflect the penitentiary's role in both punishment and deterrence. Hey. So if you went to a big Gothic prison, would that deter you from coming back?
Yeah, probably. Honestly. Depends on the food.
You said it was 250 inmates was what it initially housed.
Initially, yeah.
But, of course, like many prisons, even in modern time, a little overcrowding. Let's turn that closet over there, let's turn that into a cell, An extra bathroom? No, we don't need that. They can share.
Got a bucket.
Knock a wall down, we'll pack them in there.
Got the communal bucket. That's all you need.
Several expansions, renovations took place over the years to accommodate the growing number of prisons. Oh, that's like what we said. They knocked out the walls. They added a little more space. But during this time, they actually were known for harsh conditions.
This is during the 1920s through the 50s.
Notorious reputation for violence, inmate unrest.
Uh-oh. You think that's got anything to do with like bootlegging era and stuff? This is West Virginia?
It could have. I think just prisons are probably a harsh place to be. I don't really think it's a circumstance.
Imagine like a super happy prison.
Yeah, everybody's in a good mood.
Singing Kumbaya. Well, I don't know. I saw that video. You see Jelly Roll singing in prison. Everybody's getting along, singing with Jelly Roll.
Well, Jelly Roll, he seems like a pretty nice guy. He seems like somebody you'd want to meet.
Assign a Jelly Roll to every prison. That's how you get unity.
It said that the prison actually had a lot of riots and escapes. That's kind of what first started people in their kind of its bad legacy. They added some rehabilitation programs back in the 60s, though, after all this, so they would try to improve the conditions. But despite that, they still, you still have overcrowding. Criminals going to crime,
Especially if it's overcrowded, because you don't want somebody stepping in your space.
I mean, you're a bad guy. You're in a prison, and now you're sleeping 4 people deep in a twin-size bed. You're probably in a bad mood.
I imagine each cell looks like the house in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They got the bed in the middle, and then they got beds all around.
It probably does. It started declining, the prison, in the 80s. They end up closing it actually in, 1995?
Well, 95 was when it officially closed, but they decided to make a ruling in 1986. Because there was a big old riot on New Year's Day, and they're like, I think I'm done with these riots.
Well, maybe it's because it was like Arkham Asylum. They
didn't have Batman to step in. He was still Batboy at the time. That's a little foreshadowing.
After the prison closed, it actually became a site for... I mean, it is it's a pretty cool place. I mean, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But they do tours... Paranormal tours.
Yeah, I was reading you could, for $17, go on a little paranormal tour.
Hey, that's kind of like the last week's episode.
Yeah.
go see the stone with the Coral Castle.
This is like Coral Castle on crack.
At least, I mean, the Coral Castle didn't have any like dark history. It didn't have like murders and riots.
Just magnets.
But I guess all the prisoners who died in those riots, that's actually... Now it's haunted. You
always see people go and tour prisons like this. I think I've actually, if this is the right prison, I might have seen a YouTuber tour this place.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it seems like a pretty popular place.
Wouldn't be surprised if Zach Baggins came here trying to fight some of the ghosts.
Might be the next Ghostbusters movie. Ghostbuster West Virginia.
Ghostbuster Redneck Corps. Well, while we're on the topic of prisons and reform places... We can't leave out, asylums, so we got here.
Sense.
Another one is the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Lunatic. I don't know if that's politically correct. Can you call something a lunatic asylum now?
You could in 1858 when they started construction.
What do you call it? Crazy house? What do you call it?
It's also known as Weston State Hospital. That might be a little...
Oh, that might be... That's a new name, huh?
Because it's in Weston, West Virginia.
I kind of like the lunatic asylum. I mean, it really just tells you exactly what you're getting into,
Yeah, and I think, to kind of throw it back again, to Fallout 76, Brotherhood of Steel set up here. So it really is for the crazies.
Hey, now. Let's not offend our brothers of steel here.
Hey, no, I have Victorum, brother. It was designed by a man named Richard Andrews, who was inspired by the Kirkbride plan. Their goal was to provide a more therapeutic environment through architectural design. So I guess that means the place is a little more chilled out.
Yeah, I think so.
That's like, how's that going to calm you down? Just paint the walls nice and pink, calm you down.
I just looked at a picture of this place. It's a pretty neat looking place too. It's kind of that Gothic style too.
Yeah. And it says it's really symmetrical, which I could see that kind of being nice to the eyes too, Everybody likes a little bit of symmetry.
It almost looks like the prison, but with like a clock tower / it looks like a cross between a clock tower and a church steeple in the center of it. It's
okay. Yeah,
I guess they like the Gothic revival style was pretty popular up there.
Hey, when we cover the cryptids coming out in West Virginia, you'll see there's a lot of Gothic going on. But yeah, actually, here's kind of a funny thing. Just like the prison, it was designed to accommodate about 250 patients.
I think that was the limit back then.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this is hopefully more humane than the prison. Just a little bit, I don't think there's going to be any riots here at the asylum.
I don't know.
Well, by the early 1900s, the population soared to over 2,400.
So 250, 2,400. They had more crazies than they had criminals in West Virginia, huh?
Yeah, it's a little, that's a little bit more. Of course, you know, we have the treatments here that range from anywhere from rest, which, hey, we could all use a little bit of rest, calm environment, recreational activities. But
Those don't sound like bad treatments. I mean, I'm feeling a little crazy, so I go in and take a nap.
Take a nice 3-week nap.
Hey, that doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, but as time went on, you know, we got a little bit, turn it up a little bit from, you know, rest to...
So the rest and relaxation wasn't working. We need to move on to new methods.
So we got electroconclusive therapy, which, for those not knowing, they shock you just a little bit.
Makes sense.
And then, you know, we got lobotomies.
Always a favorite back in those times.
That's like a fan favorite. You just like...
You got problems? We'll just take them from you.
This guy's just incoherently babbling. You know what? I can fix that.
We can stop that.
Give me an ice pick. You know, I'm wondering why these places shut down sometimes. Then, you know, a lot like the prison, though, the patients often live in overcrowded conditions. Probably didn't help that some of them were just lobotomized, just resting their days around.
I mean, what do you do with somebody after they've been lobotomized? You can't kick them out on the street. You kind of kept them for the long haul, huh?
You don't got to leave, but you can stay here, I guess. It did decline, like a lot of stuff. In the mid-20th century, there was a push towards deinstitutionalization, and they wanted to kind of put mental health treatment into community settings.
So they want to give them back to the people, huh?
Yeah, which I wouldn't really want to be able to deal with that. I wouldn't know how. The facility, it faced a lot of significant problems, which, you know, we already talked about the overcrowding, but apparently the infrastructure itself was deteriorating, poor living conditions, and neglect, which I always kind of hear about with asylums, you know, people not getting the actual treatment they need, whether it be they hire somebody that just doesn't care. Or
they just kind of lock them up and
hope for the
try
best.
To hide them away from everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it lived off its final years going through the struggles of being an asylum. They didn't really get to live it out as happy as they could have been. And it ended up closing in 1994.
That's funny. They were built almost the same time. The prison and the lunatic asylum, they closed at nearly the same time. I mean, is that just about 120, 150 years is about the limit for a Gothic style building, and they're done for, huh?
That's all
That's the expiration date.
Yep, and you won't even guess what next. You could do paranormal tours of this one too.
Now.
You want to see a movie that I could recommend you to a place like this? It would probably be Grave Encounters. They toured spooky asylum in that, but I don't think that movie's going to be as accurate because, you know, really happens.
I do think it's neat that they do all these tours of these old buildings. I mean, just from the architectural side of it, it
keeps them built so they don't have to tear it down and build like a Dollar General.
They're both. I don't know if the first one was the first one on the historical landmark.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look because this one's a historical landmark. I imagine.
Yeah, the first one was a historical landmark too. So, I mean, so it's going to stay there. People are going to get to see it, and with anything that has a bunch of people housed for other reasons than just hanging out, there's probably going to be some ghost stories.
Of course. And it's always asylums are going to have ghost stories. Asylums and prisons are like your two biggest ghost hotspots.
But like if I went to say I wanted to go on a ghost tour, I'd want to go like, oh, this is my great-great-grandma that died and she was like super friendly and then baked cookies her whole life, you know, like that'd be the ghost I would want to see. Not this guy who was a murderer who was now a ghost, or this crazy person who's now a ghost.
It depends, because if they were lobotomized pre-ghost, would they still be lobotomized as a ghost, or would they regenerate and go back to their old ways?
What's that? It's just a shiny spot over there walking around, and like, why do they keep walking into the wall over there? I mean, it could go through it, couldn't it? I mean, why is it just sitting there?
Why's that ghost drooling so much?
That's lobotomized ghost.
Is that how they got Slimer? I mean,
was Slimer lobotomized?
I think we figured it out.
So we've got the prison, we got the lunatic asylum. Now, staying on theme of the Fallout, let's go to the Congressional Fallout Shelter at Greenbriar Resort.
Fallout Shelter is another good game.
Fallout Shelter. I don't know if it's a good game, but it's an all right game.
This is a pretty Fallout heavy episode. Yeah. Y'all sit back and relax.
Who would have guessed that?
Who'd have thunk?
Of course, Fallout Shelter. This was back during the Cold War, so that's when people were building Fallout shelters.
That's like peak.
Everybody thought the Russians were going to bomb us. We were going to bomb them. Everybody was prepared to basically the world to end. So they built a 1958 construction begins. The Greenbriar Resort, located in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, was selected as the site for a secret fallout shelter. Construction of the facility was carried out discreetly to avoid public knowledge, using the resort's existing infrastructure to conceal the project. So they started a fallout shelter and basically built it within this place to keep anybody knowing they were going to build a fallout shelter. Because, of course, if you had a large safety spot, you wouldn't want anybody to know. These are for people. These are for paying customers only here.
These
folks.
are for the you got to have a special VIP badge to get in this one. Basically,
1961, the shelter was completed and fully equipped. It was designed to hold House members of Congress and their staff in the event of a nuclear attack, with enough provisions to sustain them for up to 30 days.
What are they going to do after that 30 days is up, though?
What vault is this? I mean, this is a vault we're talking about.
Yeah.
Here.
I mean, this is a real life vault right here.
You think there was any testing in this vault? Any experiments?
It was on members of Congress, so probably not.
Probably not.
Probably the only thing I could think of would be the cryogenic one.
Yeah, I think so.
And it ain't no Gary vault. Gary.
The shelter consists of large underground bunker with sleeping quarters, a communication center, and various amenities to support its occupants. It had air filtration, medical facilities, a secure communications room to maintain contact with the outside world. So you're talking everything you need. We got your food, phone.
You get to fill out your special.
I mean, you
got to take your goat, because this is what this is. It's a fallout shelter through and through.
It's set up. It remained classified for many decades, with only a few high-level officials and resort staff aware of its presence. That's what's crazy. It's been there, a while, and it's still nobody knows about it.
It's got to make you wonder how many of these places exist.
Oh, I'm sure there's tons. And I'm sure some are in plain sight, some are super hidden. I mean, I just can't imagine there's not all kinds of stuff like this all over the United States.
I bet you that some of them closed rides at Six Flags are closed for a reason.
Probably so. We'll go check out Six Flags. And where's it, New Orleans, the one that's shut down? Or I don't know which one.
Oh, yeah, that abandoned one in New Orleans. Yeah. Oh.
Hey, might be a fallout shelter there. The facility was actually kept operational and regularly stocked to maintain readiness. So they weren't just, it wasn't just like, oh, we have this stuff here. They were actually, first in, first out, like stocking the grocery shelves in there to keep it ready. Finally, in the, 70s and 80s, underwent routine maintenance updates to ensure it met evolving needs of its intended occupants. So they're even upgrading it, keeping new stuff in there, like disco. What do you do in the 70s? Disco, was that what was popular back then?
Disco.
A lot of bell bottoms they were putting in there.
You think they would go around to members of Congress and take notes of their favorite cereals?
Oh, I'm sure.
And they're like, hey, make sure for the Halloween season
I'm
you
sure
got my Count Chocula. I'm
sure you had some congressmen who were legitimately freaked out and were calling saying, hey, make sure you have my Spam or canned tuna or whatever I like,
If there's no SpaghettiOs in there, I'm not going. I will reveal to the whole world that you have this place.
What about the people who work there? Do you think they're like, hey, we know about this. We're going in here too. You think they would actually stop them from going in? They're like, no, you can't come in here.
Oh, yeah, they wouldn't have let them go in there. It would have been like Titanic.
What if the resort just took it over if something really happened? And said, hey, sorry about y'all. We're already here.
What are you going to do? Shoot me? And then that's what they do.
Greenbriar continued to function as a luxury destination while the shelter remained a hidden part of its operation. So you have all kinds of people going to this resort, enjoying this resort, and not knowing there's a full-fledged Fallout Shelter here. I mean, that sounds like something we would do.
Yeah. You're wandering around trying to get like a midnight snack, and you accidentally wander into the Fallout Shelter.
They actually disclosed the shelter. It was found out about in 1992. There was a post from the Washington Post that had an article that revealed this big shelter that's for important people. Of course, people, they're curious about that.
Oh yeah, I'd be a little curious. I'd be slightly curious about it.
But when the public found out, do we just keep it up and say, hey, this is a pretty cool thing? No, they said, no, it's no good anymore.
You ruined it. You ruined it.
It's secret club. You're not. I guess we're just decommissioning it. So now
no girls allowed.
It's no ma'am for Married with Children. It later opened for, guess what it is? Tours.
Man.
Always tours.
Hey, you got to make that money.
You got something interesting that nobody knew about, and then they find out about it, you charge them to see it. Mm-hmm. You shut it down and you charge them to see it.
Of course. I mean, if you can't use it as a fallout shelter, use it as a tour shelter. You could probably make up some good ghost stories.
I guess we could go. You could go take a tour of it, check it out, see what it's all about.
See if they still got that spam down there. You can see the label date on spam.
I mean, this is interesting. That's pretty interesting. Just a shelter, fallout shelter, which, I mean, like we said, that makes sense at the time frame. But it's crazy that your government just says, "Hey, we're going to build this secret spot. Don't let anybody know in case something happens. We got a few guys here. We need to hang out in here."
You can't use it for an emergency.
Don't use it. If there's a tornado.
If there's a tour you need,
if there's a tornado, don't go down there. But somehow a nuclear bomb goes off. We need y'all to clear out, get out of our way so we can get there.
I bet that's where they put discontinued foods that we'd like to see again.
Probably.
I bet that's where they're keeping all the Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi and Kansas Surge down there.
Pepsi Blue, New Coke.
Original Dunkaroos.
What was it? Cookie Crisp? They still got Cookie Crisp, or did they change the name?
I don't know if they did or not.
Travesty. Well, let's get a little less conspiratorial here and get a little more amusing. Let's talk about the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. For you Fallout 76 people, Lake Reynolds Amusement Park.
Lake Reynolds. It's always, you're going to see a theme this whole time. Everything. West Virginia is Fallout 76.
Hey, Mountain Mama, take me home.
Take me home.
Country roads. This about 1920s when they were trying to start this up, which I couldn't imagine how unsafe and wild an amusement park would be back then. In the 20s. They're like, oh, it's lead paint roller coasters. Now it's just chipping off.
Do you think they had roller coasters back then?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you think they were, I guess, I don't know, would they be powered or you just push somebody in a cart like down a rail?
You get somebody up there, let's go.
I mean, it would be fun, but like, what if you got hired as the guy who had to push them back?
Oh.
Like back to the story.
They
just got some ropes and they're just dragging them back up to the top.
That's where the people that got out of the prison went to and worked.
That's where they went crazy and went to the lunatic asylum.
But this is off of Lake Shawnee. It's near Beckley, West Virginia, if you plan on going. It was, of course, developed recreational area. I mean, it's an amusement park on a lake.
It's a nice amusement park.
Which, I mean, I'm getting vibes, though, of Action Park, that movie with Johnny Knoxville, which was based off of a real amusement park set up by one guy. And it's let's just see if these are any safe. In the 50s, it actually opened as an amusement park. So I think in the 20s, it was just like kind of a
lake,
like a rec center. Yeah, you go and fish and swim, yada yada. So it probably wasn't a roller coaster there in the 20s.
No,
but the 50s,
it might have had something.
Yep, they turned it into Lake Shawnee Amusement Park in the 50s, and of course, it was supposed to offer family-friendly entertainment, like your Six Flags is your. You know what? I think Six Flags is the only place like that I can name. I guess Disney
World,
Schlitterbahn, Hurricane Harbor, Wet and Wild for you old heads. It says the attractions had a carousel, Ferris wheel, kiddie rides, and then they had like a fancy swing, one of those swing rides.
Oh, a swing ride.
Mm-hmm.
And just two guys pushing them.
No, I think these
were push harder.
I think these were powered swings because says in the 50s, one of the first tragedies striking was a young girl was hit by a soda truck while she was on the swing.
That doesn't seem like a good place to drive. If there's a swing there, you probably shouldn't drive close to the swings.
I think he may have backed into her or something, but come on, man.
I don't know. Probably didn't have many roads back then. You kind of just drove where you wanted to.
Had to be an RC truck or a PIB truck.
I mean, how rare is that for you to say somebody got killed by a soda truck in the 50s? Like, that seems like a pretty strange coincidence. I mean, circumstances there.
Yeah, and you don't hear about it from Coke or Dr. Pepper. They got that money to have plausible deniability.
No, it wasn't them.
That's why I'm saying RC. I bet it was RC.
RC, cool.
In the 60s, another tragic accident happened. Another young girl was killed on the Phantom. It's a roller coaster.
That's a pretty good name for a roller coaster.
The Phantom? Yeah. See, that's pretty cool, but at the same time, it kind of became a Phantom ride. And I'd read somewhere else as well, a little boy drowned out there. So it's not the safest of parks, which you're gonna have that at every theme park. But this one kind of really led to it having a decline in reputation to the point where it closed in 1968. It affected their finances, and the park had to close their door. Which that's crazy because you think about like stuff like this would happen all the time at Six Flags, and well, Disney wants to deny anything like that happening.
Nothing like that has ever happened at Disney.
Nothing ever.
I have never said anything bad about Disney. If anybody said anything bad, it was not on this podcast. So Disney, do not come after us.
No, it wasn't State of Legends. That was Country of Myths.
Yeah, that was something. That wasn't us.
That was two other dudes.
Don't sue us, bro.
Don't sue me, bro. But the cool thing about these parks closing is, guess what?
Tours.
Now this one, I don't think at least they're financing off of any touring. I think people are making their own tours.
Do your own DIY adventure here.
At your own discretion. And this is the 1980s and 1990s, and it got abandoned and started to decay. And as soon as something just gets left there to decay, everybody's mind goes to, oh, we got to explore that. That's haunted.
It's got to be.
I mean, out by where I grew up, there was a orphanage, got abandoned and decayed, and everybody was like, oh, that place is haunted. And I mean...
Well, it makes sense.
There was a cult living there years ago.
A cult?
So, yeah. So it might not be too far off there.
What did the cult look for? A ghost? Is this a ghost cult? What is this?
I don't know. I think it was just a guy with a lot of ladies.
The classic cult. I didn't know we could go back. Yeah, old school. We like the old school cults.
But hey, that's a Texas story. This is West Virginia. The same thing happens here. Ghost stories and local legends circulate, making it even scarier. So in the 2000s, during what I would call like the paranormal boom, I mean, you get shows, the ghost hunter shows. You get, what was that company? Taps or whatever?
Yeah, I think so.
All them people.
There was lots of... It was a big deal back then.
It had reports of ghostly apparitions, unexplained noises, and this one's kind of funny because it has a general sense of unease. Like, even if there aren't any ghosts, an abandoned theme park's going to be spooky anyway. I drove by Six Flags at nighttime after a concert one time, and it was freaking me out. I went to Six Flags during the day when it was open, during the Christmas thing, and there was like not a lot of people there. There was one mascot there. It was Wile E. Coyote, and it was freaky.
You heard it first here, folks. Abandoned amusement parks are
not amusing.
Not amusing. One of the scariest places you can go. So it turned into tours too. Everything turns into that's the thing about us. Thing about Americans. You see a tragedy, we see a business opportunity. Let's set up a tour and make a little money off of it.
Whether it be old prisons, old asylums, old shelters, or old parks.
So there's got to be a ghost there. Anywhere there's an abandoned place, there's a ghost.
Of course. But now, I think we're done with locations, and we're going to get to the wildlife of West Virginia.
The wildlife of West Virginia.
And I'm not talking about wild dogs. I'm not talking about Not the Hills Have Eyes. That's what's that? Nevada? No.
Close. It's over there somewhere. It's in the desert, according to the movie. No, we have plenty of wild creatures in West Virginia. I mean, what do you got in there? Bears and deer and
foxes.
Typical. Foxes.
Aardvarks.
Not as many of them,
Chickens.
Death claws. I mean, you got all kinds of stuff over there. But we're focusing more on the little bit stranger. The first one I think we're going to talk about is the Grafton Monster.
Not to be confused with the Grafton Monster from Fallout 76.
It actually is to be confused with that. Because I think that's what it is.
I think they're one and the same.
The legend of the headless Grafton Monster emerged in 1960s in Grafton, Taylor County, West Virginia. So, I mean, I don't know when you think I get the name is for the town, the Grafton, but that really doesn't conjure up any images of something.
No.
Something crazy.
That sounds like something a local made up. Like, I saw a monster.
I actually heard when I was doing this research on this, there was another Grafton, which I couldn't tell if was there a one with a head and there's one without a head? There seemed to be two reports of Grafton. I mean, one was like, I don't know, it was like a couple buddies like, man, I seen this, monster in Grafton, he's crazy, told him how it looked, and then he was like, well, I seen the same thing, but he didn't have a head on him.
No, man, you're stupid. That thing did have a head. I seen it.
First sighting of the headless Grafton Monster was reported in 1964. They were described as a large humanoid creature with no visible head and strange, unsettling appearance.
I'd say so. If it's headless, that'd be a little unsettling.
Yeah. Well, with him being headless, that's spooky in itself. I mean, that's kind of like Sleepy Hollow there, but no. This thing is like a Bigfoot. It's like 7 to 10 foot tall. Smooth grayish or white skin and a large bulky body with no head. Smooth featureless surface where the head would be.
Pictures I've seen of it, people have drawn like eyes and stuff on the chest. And it reminds me of, what was that big red hairy dude from the Looney Tunes?
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Kool-Aid Man. This is a Kool-Aid Man here?
So you're out in the woods in the middle of the night. And you're like, oh, God, I'm thirsty.
What's that, a wall crashing here? What was?
Oh, yeah.
So we have the Kool-Aid Man monster.
It's not so scary now. No. Unless you think about the fact that you're drinking his blood.
That is.
Or is the Kool-Aid Man the jug, or is the Kool-Aid Man the liquid in the jug?
I don't know.
This is now it's a little deep now.
Well, I guess we're going to end our podcast there. We got to go research this. No, that's
tune into the Patreon episode on the Kool-Aid Man.
Various reports from local residents claim they'd seen the creature near wooded areas or rural roads around Grafton.
It's always them areas.
The witnesses said they felt an overwhelming sense of dread and fear during their encounters. Some reported strange sounds, experiencing unexplained phenomena around the time of the sighting. So you're not just seeing this crazy thing, you're starting to feel him. I mean, he has a presence to him.
Is he himself doing that, or are you seeing a big headless thing in the distance and you're like, whoo? Like,
the fear coming after seeing him or before?
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
This is a pretty important part of the story here. He received media attention when the local newspapers and TV stations covering reports. Investigations were actually done by the local police, amateur cryptozoologists, but no concrete evidence or physical proof has ever been found.
It wouldn't be a cool job, an amateur cryptozoologist.
I could put that in my...
Put on your LinkedIn.
My LinkedIn profile. I wonder if you're getting job offers. If we created an account with amateur cryptozoologists, you think anybody would contact us?
They'd probably have us come to their house to investigate, and we're like, oh, we don't know what we're doing.
I'm sure you get some from work from home job offers. Do you want to work for Frito-Lay from home? We need employees badly. Why do you keep texting me these links?
It says you're a cryptozoologist. Come on. It says nothing concrete or physical was ever found.
No, there's nothing found. So we're not saying he doesn't exist. And what we're not saying is even if he's a cryptid, because people aren't sure. Is this a cryptid? Is this the world's largest alien?
So people are just trying to investigate this, and they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off.
Some assume it could be a misidentified animal, which that's a little rough one. A misidentified animal. I mean, what is gray and smooth skinned with no head that's running around there? I mean,
a Yaogwai from Fallout.
Hey.
You see it in the shadows. It could be something hunched over, like in SpongeBob when he saw the hash slinging slasher.
Yeah,
and it was dark, and it looked like his head was kind of down here, but they turned the lights on. It was just a big old nose.
I'm sure some of these probably involved moonshine.
Oh, yeah. Who knows? That's could have what shaped him.
It could have.
Instead of the Kool-Aid Man, it's the Moonshine Man.
The Moonshine Man. It's just a
Johnny White Lightning.
big jug of moonshine out there. It's a Kool-Aid Man's lost cousin.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Some people argue they're hoaxes or exaggerations, but it's pretty notable cryptid. I mean, people talk about it.
It made it to Fallout 76.
I mean, that's when you know you made it as cryptid. Have you made it into a video game yet? If you haven't, step up your game. I think that's all for the Grafton Monster. What do you think about the Grafton Monster? You think that's...
I think he's misunderstood.
I do too. I mean, if he's that light colored, he's probably not going out during the daytime ever. So, I mean, who knows?
Hey, he might just be a normal dude with some,
A little bit of that West Virginia pedigree, huh? Easy now.
I'm just saying his family tree might not branch as much as your typical
might
one.
not be.
No.
Well, let's move on. Let's go to the next one. We got another cryptid to talk about.
Let's have a little not known but lesser known than your big heavy hitters. Let's talk about the Flatwoods Monster.
Flatwoods Monster.
And guess what?
It was in the Flatwoods.
It was in Fallout 76.
Oh.
See, looking as if the first real encounter with this fellow was in 1952, September 12th.
I think it's interesting, the name. They choose names that are, hey, this is where it was. The town. They name it after the town.
Yeah, could you imagine if they named Goatman the Denton Monster?
No.
It just wouldn't have hit as good.
No. I mean, it doesn't really describe them. I don't know if I like the town naming of stuff. I like more of the descriptive.
It depends on the name of the town.
Yeah, if he had a cool name.
Because, like, you live in, like, Albuquerque, New Mexico, it'd be like, oh, that's the Albuquerque Beast. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
but then
pretty cool.
You live in Hobbs, New Mexico, it's like, oh, it's the Hobbs Hobbler. That's just the homeless guy on the street asking
that's pretty
for money.
cool, too. Hobbs Hobbler.
Hobbs Hobbler.
Sounds like a Magic the Gathering card name. A Hobbs Hobbler.
Oh, but no. See, September 12th, 1952, a group of residents reported this strange sighting. Now, it's not just one dude, not even just a couple. It's a whole group of people. They said the encounter began when a group of children saw a bright, fiery object crash into a nearby hill. Getting extraterrestrial with this one?
Hey, the last two. They're not sure if they're aliens or cryptids. I kind of like this.
Mm-hmm. The witnesses included...
Is this actually breeding in between aliens and cryptids? Is this what we're going with? I mean, you got some questionable stuff over there in Appalachia.
I told you that I thought Skinwalker Ranch could be like a portal ground or a breeding ground or something. What if there's little hot spots all across our country like this? Or
maybe this is where they dump them out at.
This is the Hollow Earth theory. This is where they meet.
Hey, could be. If Kong comes out of there, we'll know.
Please.
Yeah, please don't, or Godzilla gonna blow you up.
That's the excitement we need. The witnesses to this encounter included Edward and Fred May and their mother, a local school teacher named Mrs. Kathleen May. How southern is that?
I know it said it was a group, but you got a family. That kind of counts as one. I don't know. It's questionable now.
The creature was described having a humanoid shape with a spade-shaped head. So we got a shovel head.
So this is like the alien from Independence Day, huh? The big
Welcome to Earth. Shovel head, glowing eyes, and a body that appeared to be covered in a metallic, shiny material. This is just a flying shovel.
This is pretty neat sounding cryptid. This is a good one here.
This ain't your typical gray sighting.
Spade-headed, glowing eyes, body, shiny body. That's
stood about 10 feet tall.
Even better. The bigger, the better.
10 foot tall and emitted a foul odor and a hissing sound.
And he rode a fireball to this place. What is this? This is cryptid of the year.
Man, a big, stinky, tall, fiery, shovel-headed man. Oh,
I think we might have a new top cryptid right now.
We'll see.
We need to start a ranking. We'll have a ranking of cryptids.
Cryptid. I was about to say cryptid iceberg, but
we'll do a tier on them.
We can't do an iceberg because Wendigoon already did that, and he'd have us for breakfast.
But we could still do a tier.
We could do a old school tier list.
Yeah.
S tier.
So 10-foot
Flatwoods
tall.
Monster. 10-foot tall, stinky shower man. I just want to know why he was hissing. Like it was like a snake hiss or like a water hose. Like was he spraying something?
I just picture them in a group walking over there after his fireball that he rode down with a lasso on it into the ground. They come walking over there and say, "Hey, you can't park there." And he just starts hissing at them. I mean, that's what I would assume, but I don't think it probably happened like that.
No. Well, let's see, because there's more sightings and reports here. It says, following the additional sighting, other locals reported seeing strange lights and experiencing nausea and headaches. Yeah, but that's from the stank. Which they blamed it on the encounter, which we could also blame it on moonshine. If we're being fair here.
Yeah.
They're kind of being a little unfair to him. Who are they to say he stinks? How do we know that where he's from, that ain't like how he says hello?
Maybe he sprayed a little cologne on him before he met him. He's like, "Man, I'll spray a little cologne. I'll check these people out, you know?"
Draca Noir.
It's a Johnny Depp commercial? What is
Well, this is just a French dude, and they didn't know. They didn't know back then. What are you, some kind of alien? Well, of course, like most of our sightings here, they just saw a large greenish glowing object in the sky. Could have been the source of his appearance. It could have been so if it was still in the sky after seeing the creature, does that mean it was dropping him off?
I don't know. Maybe it was dropping him off. I just picture him riding on it. Like Joe Meteorite, you know?
You know, he'd probably be pretty friendly, but I think the only aliens I wouldn't try to approach, I'd probably approach this one. But if it looked like the ones from War of the Worlds, or like if it was the Xenomorph from Alien, there wouldn't be no local sighting. I'd be gone. I wouldn't report it. I'd be in another universe. But I could deal with the shovel-headed stinky boy. That ain't no problem. But, you know, like most sightings, it's got a lot of media coverage. We got local and national media. And, of course, a bunch of our UFO and paranormal enthusiasts, which, hey, put that on the same LinkedIn.
Yeah, amateur paranormal enthusiast.
Professional UFO enthusiast.
We'd be amateur paranormal enthusiast and what was the other one?
Amateur cryptozoologist.
Amateur cryptozoologist.
Crypto-ufologist.
We hadn't went pro. We didn't want to take the money, you know, so that's why we're staying amateur right now.
I couldn't go pro because I couldn't collect all the skate letters in one trick. But even the U.S. Air Force conducted an investigation on this. And guess what? Guess what they said it could have been?
Weather balloon.
A weather balloon.
Always a weather balloon.
Why is that the main thing?
Why is there so many weather balloons, and why do we not know where any of them are?
Why do I never see no weather balloons?
I neither.
To me, weather balloon sightings are more uncommon than alien sightings at this point.
The only balloon that I can remember anybody seeing was the Chinese balloon that they threw such a fit about. It was on everywhere. So if there's all these weather balloons out at night, I mean, you'd think we'd be talking about it.
No. Yeah, and I'm just saying, man, I think I'm starting to think the weather balloon thing might be a little bit of baloney.
Who launches these weather balloons? If you send up weather balloons, go ahead and contact us. We want to talk to you.
contact at stateoflegends.com.
We're ready to hear from the people who blow up these weather balloons.
They're amateur weather balloon enthusiasts.
If you're one of those, please contact us. We got some questions.
And of course, we got our theories here. We got the UFO theory. People believe it was extraterrestrial being
Came
related
from the
to the
sky.
UFO.
Makes sense.
Then there's the hoax theory, suggesting it was a hoax, exaggeration, possibly just too many people taking in the folklore. Boring. And then natural phenomena, which, could have been a misinterpretation of natural phenomena, such as meteor or atmospheric effects. But
Okay, so let's say it was a meteor. Okay, we'll say it is. It's a meteor that come down. But if I walked over there and that meteor is hissing at me, then
it's got a shovel head with
what's going on?
eyes.
What is this
What kind
meteor?
of meteor is that? Did the meteor hit somebody's shovel and set it on fire to make it look like it's got two eyes? Like, come on.
Let's go with Occam's razor. It's the most simplest explanation. It was an alien.
It looks a little different in Fallout, too. I think it's got like a dome on its head or something.
UFO dome.
Of course, it's a notable figure in UFO and cryptid lore. Yeah, I think I like this one more than the Grafton Monster. No offense to old Headless Joe, but
I think I do too. I like him.
I like old Shovelhead here. To this day, it's a subject of local folklore, paranormal interest. There's been books, documentaries, even events celebrating it. You don't hear that for weather balloon. You don't got no weather balloon events.
No.
I mean, it has a Flatwoods Monster Festival annually. Come on.
I don't know. That's whether he's real or not. He might be the most interesting one we've talked about.
I like this one so far. I like him.
But that was until we got to the next one. The next one might just take the crown. Step aside. The king is here. The Sheepsquatch.
The Sheepsquatch.
I mean, do we even need to tell you about this? If you heard Sheepsquatch, I mean,
Bigfoot with a perm.
This is S tier. Perm.
Bigfoot with the soul glow.
He bleached it out, permed it. Here he is for your enjoyment.
You ever watch a regular show?
No.
Dude on there named Skips.
Skips.
I think that's what Skips is. I think
might
Skips
be.
might be a Sheepsquatch.
This is a pretty recent one, too. Emerged in the 1990s.
1990s.
Reports of the creature circulating in rural areas, particularly the, what do we say that?
Monongahela.
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 Monongahela National Forest. Sheepsquatch is described as a large humanoid creature with features reminiscent of both sheep and bears.
So it's more of a sheep bear? Sheep bear squatch? Bear sheep squatch?
Bear sheep.
Man bear pig?
This is man bear pig. 7 to 10 feet tall, so we're in the same weight class as the Flatwoods Monster.
Oh, if we're setting up a fight, that's what we got to do besides a tier list. We got to do who's going to win in a fight. We got to do like a March Madness bracket.
We'll start doing a poll, seeing who's, like the grizzly bear, polar bear, Sheepsquatch, Flatwood Monster, who wins?
We got to see. We got to read more on the Sheepsquatch to find out.
Witnesses describe it as having a sheep-like head with large glowing eyes and sometimes a face that resembles a distorted sheep's face.
Ooh.
But that's not it. I mean, you got friendly sheep's face. Could be a little distorted. You're like, oh, is that guy okay? Or is he mean? I don't know. I'll go check him out.
He could just have a dip in.
Then when you get over close, guess what he has? Large clawed hands and a powerful build.
Oh, I don't think Flatwoods could stand a chance.
You got...
Ooh. This is how I imagine... Remember back on the Goatman episode, I told you I imagined him more of a sheep man?
Yeah.
This is what I was thinking
This is him.
right now.
This is the evolution of the goat man.
You won't believe what video game he shows up in.
Let me guess.
Fallout 76.
Man. It's a masterpiece.
Man, I don't know why that game was so panned.
Early sightings came from hunters and campers reported seeing a large furry creature in the woods. Of course, sense of dread or fear when encountering the Sheepsquatch. I will think that's when they see him. I mean, you see this guy. He's got the claws. He's jacked. I mean, This is like a sheep on steroids.
They probably caught him working out. Dude's lifting tree trunks.
Yeah, he was curling tree trunks over there. Overhead pressing boulders. You come over and check this guy out, and he's like, hey, back off. You don't want none of this. Don't touch my perm. One of the most cited reports involves a sighting by a group of people who claim to have seen the Sheepsquatch while camping in the forest.
You're in his house now.
He was making loud, eerie noises and displaying aggressive behavior. I mean, that's
working out.
That's the steroids.
He don't got the Bowflex out there.
You ever heard of roid rage? This guy's got it.
You ever hear of Scott Steiner?
Yeah, it's a Scott Steiner.
This is Sheep Steiner.
Sheep Steiner. You ever heard of Frankensteiner? Oh, guy, get a hold of you.
Oh, those are all alleged. We have no proof on the Scott Steiner
but
thing.
what we do know is Big Papa Pump has a hookup. Holla if you hear me. We know that. We do know that. Let's see this Sheepsquatch. Local, of course, you have the media word of mouth. He's been on regional newspapers, TV stations. Of course, the cryptozoologists, they want to check him out.
These aren't amateur cryptozoologists.
No,
these are...
You bring in the pros for a guy
I can't put that one on my LinkedIn.
No. This is pro. These are pros out there trying to find this guy. Because he's dangerous. You don't mess with this guy.
No. With them claws. And I imagine him being so jacked, Vince McMahon wouldn't have even hired him.
No. You couldn't have handled him.
Not because if he had to fire him, chop him in half.
It's like the Ultimate Warrior. He just shows up sometimes. 3 years later, you'll see him again.
From parts unknown.
Parts unknown. Do the snarl. That was the sound he was making. When they pulled up, he was like...
They probably just caught the Ultimate Warrior working out, and he was working out so much he didn't have time to groom himself.
It was probably the Ultimate Warrior during the winter, and he was just wearing a sheepskin jacket.
It's the scene from Rocky IV where he's working out in the mountains.
It is. I like the Sheepsquatch. This is
pretty cool.
I mean, this is a pretty good one.
And his name is kind of unassuming because you're like, oh, Sheepsquatch, a little fluffy guy. And then you see him and he's over there. He's not even mixing the protein powder with liquid. He's just taking it dry. He's snorting it. He's snorting that whey protein.
He's over getting jacked.
That's why his face is distorted. He's snorting the protein.
What do you think he eats? It's got to be meat.
Raw eggs.
This guy ain't go out there chewing on grass.
He's on that caveman diet.
He's got to be. He's eating rabbits out there.
He's like, vegetables? No thanks.
No.
That's for the Flatwoods Monster.
Yeah.
That's for that skinny little shovel.
Sorry, Flatwoods.
Move on over.
Yeah, move on over.
Move on over.
There are theories he's either an undiscovered cryptid or maybe he's unknown. Some people think maybe it was a misidentified animal, which I don't really get this one. A large bear or sheep with a deformity. I'm going to tell you this right now. Whether it's Sheepsquatch or a 7-foot tall deformed sheep, I'm still going to be a little spooked out. I mean, if you just saw a big deformed sheep, I'm like, man, I don't think I'm going to go over there. That dude's hissing and making noises and growling at me.
They made a movie about killer sheep. It was called Black Sheep. Not the Chris Farley, Gary Busey masterpiece. No, there was one called Black Sheep where they were killer sheep. And those were just regular sheep. This wasn't no Sheepsquatch.
These are the movies that you find when you're scrolling through Amazon Prime and you get to the end and it's like, okay, I'm like, what's this Velocipaster? And this, I mean, I don't know what all this stuff is,
This is right past, you get past Sharknado and then Zombie Tidal Wave.
But these are like the knockoffs of Sharknado. I mean, this is where we're getting in those movies.
Piranha Lamageddon.
Oh, they say it could be a hoax. I guess somebody could have done that.
That's just Sheepsquatch erasure.
No.
They're trying to hide it from the WWE.
Are they trying to cancel Sheepsquatch right now?
This is somebody that would have been perfect to join Bray Wyatt's cult.
Exactly. It would have been perfect. The Sheepsquatch.
What would his theme have been?
I like him. He might be on my new number one list.
Man, I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to fight him. Even if I was another cryptid, I wouldn't want to fight him. I think he might give Sasquatch a good fight.
I think so. I mean, you always think of like a Yeti being a little. I mean, I think of a Yeti being a little stronger than a Sasquatch. You know, I mean, you had this big old sheep guy. I mean,
they got the Yeti coolers, and those are really good. They need the Sheepsquatch coolers.
Sheepsquatch coolers.
10-foot tall coolers.
Well, we went from one of the top tier that we've talked about to I just think that the next one might be a little lower. I don't think this is the one that's going to knock your socks off, but I think when you hear this name, I think you're going to realize that you're going to remember, you're going to know where you were when you seen that. You were standing in line at Kmart. You were checking out with your grandma, and you looked over there and you seen, what is that, World Weekly News? Who's that on the front? What is that? Is that like a Dracula or something else?
Why is his mouth so big?
That's Bat Boy. This could be, I don't think he's probably as famous as a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, or something else, but you talk about a guy with some coverage.
You've seen him. Even if it wasn't actually him, you've seen variations drawn of him.
You had to have seen him. Everybody checked out. It was in every Walmart, Kmart, anything you went, their little action alley at the beginning that just sold all that random stuff. You get you a candy bar, but they got all those tabloids
it was
up there.
right next to the one that said Titanic survivor speaks out. And it was a skeleton in a raft.
Exactly. That's where the Bat Boy was. Gained attention in 2000, which we already said, Weekly World News. I mean, you think of all like National Enquirer, all those crazy ones we had, which I looked at them. My grandma bought them. I thought they were hilarious. I used to read through them every time. If I seen one sitting there, I was picking it up.
Elvis was still alive.
Always.
Tupac was still alive.
You know how much stuff we could have answered if the right person would have just read these? It had all the answers.
Imagine if Alex Jones had read one of these.
Alex Jones might have read one of these.
We found the Bat Boy. He's real. We discovered him. We found him on their Bohemian Grove.
Yeah. Let's talk about how he looked. He was a creature with the body of a young boy, which makes sense. You call him Bat Boy.
It's not Batman.
He features the features of a bat, including wings, fangs, and large expressive eyes. So this is what they should have made Batman in the comics. He should have been a bat.
Yeah. I mean, they made Man-Bat.
Man-Bat. Is it related to Bat Boy? Man-Bat?
Could be. Could be Bat Boy's dad. Then again, if he was Bat Boy's dad, it would have been Boy Bat instead of Bat Boy.
Could be Boy Bat. Maybe just a little misnaming. Maybe it's like, I think, what is it, Chinese when they have names and you take one, your last name and it moves to the front?
Like they do in North Korea with the Kims.
Yeah, that's what it could be in this.
No shout out to them.
No shout out to them.
No love to the Kims.
I don't think they're going to hear this. He might.
He might be a fan.
Nobody
if he
else
is a fan. No, I was going to say hit me up, but don't
do that. You just keep talking to Dennis Rodman. That's our ambassador. He was found, according to the tabloid, he was discovered in a cave in the mountains of West Virginia. He was some sort of genetic mutation or an experimental subject. It was found by a group of cave hunters or explorers. Somebody checking out the caves. I'm sure they're looking for maybe old bottles of moonshine or lost treasures from the Civil War. Who knows?
Maybe they're running from the Sheepsquatch.
Maybe they were. What if you're running from a Sheepsquatch and you tripped in there like,
boy?
Who's this kid? Come away from me.
He's just...
You think he was hanging upside down when they found him?
He had to have been. You ever seen, what was that movie? Little Vampire? He found that whole family.
I don't know. Small humanoid figure with bat-like characteristics. Large bat-like ears, fangs, wings. Seems innocent. That's what he always looks so sad on the tabloids.
And he didn't look like a vampire either. If I had to compare him to any vampire, it'd be more like Nosferatu.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. But I think weren't all of his teeth sharp instead of just two fangs?
I don't remember. I can't remember that part.
Of sharp teeth.
He
wasn't a handsome fellow. Maybe
that's why he hung out in a cave.
I was gonna say that's probably why he looks so sad.
He's pretty.
Yeah, he had all sharp teeth.
He does. That's exactly what he looks like.
Man, he's a work of art there. Here's Bat Boy fights in Iraq. There you go. There's
Look, he was doing a service to our country.
He took out Saddam Hussein.
And we're sitting here making jokes about this guy. This guy's
He's an American hero.
A war hero.
We salute you, Bat Boy. I know Travis Scott used that image for merch for the Astro World that ended in a catastrophe, but it was like him as Bat Boy. He didn't even reach Travis Scott.
I hope Bat Boy got some royalties off of that.
I hope so too.
I mean, wonder what he's doing right now. I mean, he's not in the news. None of those. You don't see any of those tabloids anymore. I mean, what?
Does he grow, or is he like
Is he
forever
still-
that age?
Is it like the Benjamin Button?
he
Maybe he
ages
was.
in reverse.
Maybe he was. He was Nosferatu, and then he went backwards. And
He just gets smaller and smaller until he looks like a baby chick.
then he just disappears. Y'all missed out.
He did us a service and then
He fought in Iraq and
took out Hussein.
did all this stuff, and how he's gone. Didn't know what we had.
We salute you, Bat Boy. I'm going to put a tribute to him at the end of this.
Quickly became a pop culture icon. Various media outlets and internet forums discussing the creature. I mean, like we said, it was everywhere. They say it was fiction, that it was just a made up story. I don't know if we can believe that. Fake news.
You remember Men in Black the first Men in Black, Tommy Lee Jones was taking him out and getting the tabloids.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you getting those for? And he's like, this is the news. This is where we get all our leads.
Yep.
I took that to heart. Tommy Lee Jones said it. It has to be true.
I really didn't until I did, start reading this. I remember Bat Boy though the entire time I'm growing up. I mean, I remember him always every week on a tabloid, but I wasn't aware he was from West Virginia. So maybe he had an accent, I don't know.
I wasn't aware that he was an American hero.
I wasn't either. But there's not much else. He's a pop culture icon. There's not really much else to say about him.
You could buy Bat Boy merch anywhere. The sad thing is, he's probably not around to financially benefit from it.
No, I don't think so. It was a good story, and I do like stuff like that where it's a cryptid makes is like in the center of attention for a long time. I think it's funny. I like that. It's a lot more interesting.
What's funny is is he technically on the cryptid scale since he's
I don't know. I don't know if since they say it was a made up story, but.
Because guess what, folks? This is the only one on our notes today that isn't in Fallout 76.
I think that probably disqualifies him. I think we'll put him in them.
Real life American heroes. That's
I think we'll just put him as a pop icon. Like he's up there with like Michael Jackson.
And Cher.
Yeah, that's where he belongs. He doesn't belong with these cryptids. He didn't choose that life. They chose him.
They just found him in a cave.
We didn't even know we needed Bat Boy at that time, but we got him. That's just...
He's not the hero that we needed.
He's the
But
one.
he was the one we deserved.
I don't know that we even deserved him. I think he's the one. I think we got him when we didn't deserve him. Because imagine now with internet now and how everything spreads. Can you imagine the Bat Boy Reddit thread?
Oh no. r/Bat Boy.
That's.
I made love to the Bat Boy. And then everybody's like, downvote. Oh, thank you for your service, Mr. Boy.
Yeah. There's not much to say about it. Anything else to say. I don't even want to make a joke about him. No. That's how much we respect the Bat Boy here. But let's go on to probably the most famous one.
My favorite.
Your favorite.
My boy.
Is this
my best friend?
Is this an S tier for you?
This is S+++++.
S++++. Whoa now.
This is the boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mothman.
The Mothman.
You're right. You heard it here, folks. Not just a moth, not just a man. A Mothman.
The both. The best of both.
And before I even get on it, I'm going to go on this tangent right now. The Mothman side quest in Fallout 76 Don't do that solo. It's hard enough to even do with the squad. You're timed on it. The enemies are hard. The Mothman's a hard fight to do. Just don't do it unless you got a good squad, because guess what? Mothman will murk you.
Is this going to be your new standard for checking if a cryptid is legit or not?
If it's
Were
in Fallout.
you in Fallout 76?
Hey, the Wendigo was in Fallout 76.
Mothman, check. You are a cryptid.
You were very much a cryptid.
I thought there was more here.
It's my
We've
clipboard.
determined that was not a lie. You are a cryptid.
What is that? Sasquatch wasn't in Fallout 76?
Oh.
Has he been lying to us?
But has he been in other games?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Has he been in Red Dead?
Yes.
Oh.
Undead Nightmare.
Maybe he was a cryptid as well.
He was in GTA 5, but it was just a furry.
I guess we could do it broader, and if as long as you're in a video game.
A good video game. Because if you're in like Guitar Hero rocks the 80s, no, that's a good
Like
one.
Legends of the Killer Tomatoes.
Robert the Tire, Rubber, that movie. But let's get to this here.
Tell us about the Mothman. This seems to be your favorite. I mean, I don't know if this is a Sheepsquatch, but I'll keep an open mind.
This man is probably just as fuzzy as the Sheepsquatch. The first kind of reported Mothman sightings, they began in November of 1966 near Point Pleasant, West Virginia. 2 different young couples reported seeing a large winged creature with glowing red eyes while driving near an old TNT plant.
So I think is this Mothra? Is this who we're seeing?
Mothra's
little brother.
I think it's Mothra's little all right, so Mothra listens to like Poppy and Cher and all that, pop stuff. This is like if Mothra listens to Korn.
No.
This is Mothra. This is Shadow the Hedgehog to Mothra's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, okay.
The report started increasing throughout 1967, though. More sightings were reported around Point Pleasant. Witnesses described the Mothman as a tall, human-like figure with wings and red eyes, often seen flying or lurking about abandoned buildings.
Maybe he was just a ghost hunter. He's like, I bet there's some ghosts in there. Go check it out. I would think instead of abandoned buildings that the Mothman would be flying around like light poles.
He wasn't even flying towards the buildings. They just had the streetlights on too bright. And he's just...
Why do you keep banging up against that street pole, man? Calm down.
But not everything is sunshine and rainbows with the Mothman, because there was an event that a lot of people linked to him. It was December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapse. On this date, the Silver Bridge, which connects Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed during rush hour, killing 46 people. People believed that the Mothman sightings were kind of like a premonition of it.
So they don't think he
did it, but they think
did.
he was a harbinger of it. They say like sightings of him would indicate bad things would happen.
You see a Mothman and it's like, man, something's going to tear up. I'm going to have a flat or something.
What they don't tell you
Car
is
broke down.
the bridge, the lights were too bright on the bridge and he kept flying into it and it
That's
just
what I
ended up
imagine
knocking it
happened.
down.
He just kept hitting in the side of it.
He's not even a bad guy. He's just doing what nature put him to do.
Just a big moth. Doing what moths love to do, flying to the flame.
Now, and post 1967, the sightings just declined. After the bridge collapse, Mothman sightings declined significantly, which leads me to believe the bridge maybe was putting out too much light.
He just needed to put another light source and, hey, come on back.
It's just the creature wasn't commonly seen anymore. People were stating, man, I think that might have been connected to disaster. I think they took the butterfly effect to heart. I think that's what it was. They mistook it for a butterfly.
Could have.
But despite, from 1966 to 67, that's not really a lot of, like Bigfoot sightings have been years and years worth. 66 to 67, but he still is culturally big as he is. Because in the 70s and 80s, he had a big cultural impact. There was local legends, media reports, and he kind of became like a symbol of the unexplained, captured the eyes of locals and outsiders. Pretty sure they even built a statue. There's like a statue of him. Isn't it in Point Pleasant? I think you can go see it.
Yeah, I think there's a museum there.
People keep putting money in the butt crack of the statue. So I think it's been happening lately. If they had to make a post saying, please stop leaving money in its butt crack.
Oh,
I mean,
seems like a strange. I don't know if it's stranger that people are leaving money there or that he has a butt crack. It's what's. I just kind of think of him as a big moth body with like some legs, you know. I don't really, like
they made the legs like a little tube buff.
Yeah. Like we're not. It's in a Sheepsquatch, man.
Come
Let's
on,
calm
man.
down.
This ain't a Mothman themed strip club. Write that down. Write that down. No, but I mean, he even got a movie about him in 2002. And even the early 2000s, especially that early, they would do kind of like a cryptid movie here and there. But that stuff didn't really take off till like the later 2000s when like the Sci-Fi Channel. So he might have been one of the first. The Mothman Prophecies was based on a book by John Keel. And that kind of re-sparked the fire of the Mothman legend. And I mean, the movie had Richard Gere in it.
Which was pretty big at the time.
And it was just dramatization of Mothman sightings and their alleged connection to supernatural events.
So if you see a Mothman, something bad is going to happen. I mean, we've had a lot of bad stuff, you know, in the last, what is this? First he was seen with the bridge collapsed in 67. So you're talking, what, 60 something, 70 years. I mean, we had some bad stuff happen. Where'd you been?
That's true.
He been showing up.
I'm telling you, I think the bridge was a fluke. I think they should have just turned the lights down. I don't think those lights were regulation.
It's just a bad coincidence.
Maybe he went into hiding after it because he felt bad.
Maybe so.
I'm telling you, Mothman is innocent. I'm not saying he's going to beat Sheepsquatch in a fight or nothing. I think he's just a big silly bug.
Big silly bug.
He's just a big silly bug.
Oh, wow.
Of course, there's the cryptid theory. He's considered a cryptid, which by my checklist, he is a cryptid. He's in Fallout 76.
He's in a video game.
There's the extraterrestrial theory saying it could be an alien, which, come on. They're not going to send moths down. They're going to send shovelheads down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the extraterrestrial theory.
There's paranormal theory. It could be an entity or an omen, which we've already established is just a bridge. I mean, well, there's 46 people. I'm not taking that away from them, but I don't think...
Where they probably give ghost tours now.
Where was the Mothman at in September 11th, 2001? He probably was
coming back and they're like, man, they're going to do all these ghost tours here, and then people bugging me all the time. I don't know if I want to show back up.
See, I mean, we had that bridge collapse, this year? Or was the Mothman there? He wasn't. I think the omen thing is just too far.
Yeah.
And then there's the misidentified animal theory. Skeptics argue that it could have been like a big bird, and I'm just thinking... Yeah, okay, a big red-eyed bird.
I don't know about that one.
I can't think of one bird that's got red eyes.
Because isn't there moths that have like their pattern makes them look like they have eyes?
Yeah,
they kind of look like an owl or something in their face. But then to think like an owl is actually a big moth. There's actual like real moths that are about the size of your hand that you can hold in your hand. Like the one on the Bug's Life, like those are real. We'll be on Facebook and Instagram looking up groups to join for
moth enthusiasts. Sign my wife up. We were late to work the other day because she wanted to photograph the mantis that was on her Jeep.
Well, do whatever makes you happy.
Live your best life.
If that's stopping to film a praying mantis, you do you.
I don't know. I think the Mothman is misunderstood.
Yeah, I like the omen one. I like that theory. I kind of like it just because it's like, oh, he don't show very often, but when he shows up, it's really bad.
He's kind of similar appearance-wise to one of my favorite DC villains, like Black Manta from Aquaman. He's got the big giant head with the big old red eyes. I think they used to scare me as a kid, so I think that's why I'm so intrigued by Mothman.
I get why people like him so much. I mean, I get because it's mysterious and omens and stuff like that, but...
Be a good wrestling persona, too. I could see Rey Mysterio taking on a Mothman look.
I just don't know if he beats the Sheepsquatch, though.
In a fight, certainly not.
No.
No, it's him versus The Undertaker.
I mean, you imagine the Sheepsquatch RKO and the Mothman. I mean, he came out of nowhere.
I feel like the Sheepsquatch would be more of like a Great Khali or a Big Show style wrestler. So Mothman would jump at him and he would just catch him by the throat.
I don't know. They said where he's growling and jacked up. I think of him like Batista or Goldberg.
New Jack.
He's just really
You know what?
angry.
What I think of Mothman appearance wise, I think a young Ric Flair with the big fluffy jacket and the hair.
He's just out there going woo, and runs into a bridge.
He goes and gets ready to fight. You know, the bell rings and then the other opponent just turns on a light and it's just over.
He distracted him.
He crashed into the Spanish announcer table.
The Sheepsquatch brought out his manager, the light bulb. He's distracting him.
Oh. But you know what I think all of these cryptids have in common is that
Fallout 76.
but they would all make excellent Scooby-Doo villains.
I can see that.
They could all be something that somebody could dress up as.
They pulled their mask off at the end.
Imagine,
You were the innkeeper.
you know, Shaggy and Scooby walk up and they see Sheepsquatch and like they're feeling like Shaggy turns around, he's feeling the fur and he's like, "Oh, it's you, Scoob!" And then he turns around and he's just like,
Where's Scooby Doo?
"Reproach."
I like this one. I liked all these different cryptids. Tell us what you think. If you listen to us, tell us what you thought of our. We're kind of leaning towards this newer format of.
We covered less locations on this one, but I think it helped a lot because West Virginia, mainly just Appalachia in general, is very, very well known for cryptids. I mean, that's why they put so many of them in Fallout 76. I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why they put Fallout 76 in West Virginia.
I think so too. But I mean, I liked it. I liked West Virginia is an interesting place.
As an amateur cryptozoologist and a professional UFOologist, I think there's some pretty good weight to these theories here.
I think so too. I think that's just about going to wrap it up though with West Virginia. I think even the places which they all had in common, they had, you can tour all these places. I'm sure you can get on Groupon right now and probably get you a full set of them.
I'm pretty sure that I have seen YouTube videos of ghost tours for the prison and the asylum. I think I seen a dude stay the night in the asylum.
But that would be a little creepy. I mean, it'd be neat to do it.
I'd do it for a bet.
Yeah, I think so too. Like a bag of flaming hot Cheetos or something,
Hey, I got them Louisiana Cajun flaming hot Cheetos. I'd do it for some of them.
I never even seen those.
They're good.
No, but if you have any questions, comments, you just want to send us your suggestions, where we go next, what places, you got something interesting you want to tell us, just send us an email at contact@stateoflegend.com. You should be able to follow us on all the podcast places. Soon, it should be uploading all this.
Anywhere you get your podcasts.
We're on YouTube, State of Legends podcast on YouTube. Yeah, follow us on any of that. We'll. I think that's about it. I think we'll see you next week to see where we go.
Thanks for taking this road trip with us.
Bye.